Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Akron Citizens Police Oversight Board for January the 24th, 2024. At 6 p.m., we'll begin with our roll call. Aniskevich. Here. Gippin.
Here.
Castle.
Here.
Costa.
Present.
Richards.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Boyd is present. And I'd like to make a motion for the approval of last meeting's minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move on. Right before public comment, I do want to take a second to share the purpose of our board. We did a lot of work. Mr. Costa mentioned this, I believe, at our last board meeting, and we gave a really shout out of gratitude and appreciation to Barbara Green, who led us to do our strategic plan. So I want to read just a couple of items, if I could, of our board and our purpose. The overarching mission of the Akron Citizens Police Oversight Board is to foster conditions and police practices that ensure the safety of all residents of the city of Akron. The CPOB is empowered by the new city charter provision to independently direct the police auditor, whose office reviews investigation into complaints and misconduct involving officers. The board and the auditor also review every standard investigation, whether by the Akron Police Department or outside agencies, into the use of deadly force by an officer. The CPOB has the authority to appoint and provide oversight of the Office of the Independent Police Auditor and reappoint and terminate personnel within that department, approve external and independent oversight and review of policies, practices, policing practices within the city of Akron. Subject to approval of council, our board may adopt rules providing for the procedures and operations of the board and the Office of the Independent Auditor, including scheduling of regular board meetings and for the election of a board chair and vice chair. Propose with the Office of the Independent Auditor an annual operating budget, issue an annual report to the community of the board's activities and recommendations made to the mayor and to council. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to my vice chair to read our values.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Our values. Our decisions and actions are motivated by our love for Akron and our desire for all to feel safe in the community. We value unity in voice and action. We respect each other and those we serve. We seek to build relationships of trust, and we seek to always conduct ourselves with integrity. We listen to understand, learn, and lead. We strive to be inclusive of all stakeholders' voices. We value change at a system level. We hold ourselves accountable for our actions and deeds, and we hold our partners and those we serve to be accountable for their actions and deeds. We want to model civility.
Thank you so much, Ms. Aniskevich. If there be no other comments at this time, we will move on to our public comment. Ms. Aniskevich.
Yes. Apostolette, please.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I was just led by the Holy Spirit to just come down here and ask you all how I can help you all. Y'all have so much to do already. I don't need anything else to do. And I'm a retired probation officer, but I'm also a pastor. The name of one of my churches is called No Fear of God Fellowship Assembly Church and Ministry, and it's on the Secretary of State's website. And I came just to share a little light in the room on who I am and what I do. So I'm a published author. I'm also a published author, and maybe I could help you all. I'd like to partner with you on what you do. You do a great work, and this is called shell shock. I know the police deal with a lot of trauma and people who have been traumatized through gun violence and many other components. And it just says, I am a soldier for my God. Within the path I trod, there's a war against the family. You have chosen to personally attack me. With battle scars removed, I must maintain my position until I say goodbye. With the love and peace of my faith, I will never die. From head to toe, I'm ready to go, no matter how many tears I must cry. My mind is made up, enough is enough. I will tread this soil, anointed with my God's oil, until I say goodbye. Oh, I experienced shell shock when my babies and I came up missing. When you called yourselves terrorizing our lives, it brought me out. There is no doubt, it opened up my eyes. You thought you had defined me, yet I am determined to complete this plight. You labeled me with your own self-perceptions, thinking you controlled my appetites. This drew my attention the more, while in my shell, in spite of your hidden agendas, I'm fine and doing well. You daze me, you even amaze me, the things you do in the names of your laws, sciences, and religions. You believe that hate and death are the best decisions. Even with your shock tactics, you do not determine or validate me, my fate or destiny. I shall go forth. I know my worth. I am a soldier in the war against the family. Shell shock, execution, prosecution, and persecution. You walk in the blind one's sight. Yet there's a wake-up call taking place, calling your name from your dark places into my God's marvelous light. So surrender your weapons of warfare while you can. My God is moving and determined to clean up this land. I say that because I'm with you, because the war against the family, through what you have to do to help the police be more effective, I am with you on that. And my phone number is 330-428-9191. Keep up the good work. Be encouraged. I'm not against police. My cousin is the former sheriff for Cuyahoga County, and I also have other family members. But we're going to get this together and get this war stopped against the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Apostle Att, for that beautiful poem. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you for being here.
That's it.
Okay, before we move into our committee reports, I do want to recognize the Mayor's Chief of Strategy, Ms. Nanette Pitt. Thanks so much for being with us on this evening. I know if you want to have words or had anything that you would like to say.
Thank you so much, Chairman Kemp. Hello, everybody. I'm known to some of you, not to all of you, but as the chairman indicated, I am newly appointed as Mayor Malik's Chief of Strategy. In that role, I will have some front-facing roles and some intergovernmental liaison roles, and I will be a primary source of connection for you as a representative of Mayor Malik's administration. So I look forward to working with you all and to supporting your efforts and energy. I also, as some of you may know, was one of the co-signers of the Issue 10 legislation, so I had the opportunity to speak with some of you. So I really have a personal stake in your work and appreciate all that you've been undertaking. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move our executive session back probably towards the end. Let's move into our subcommittee report out. I'll start with Mr. Gippin and governance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was a lot of discussion. I think we were probably met for about 2 hours last week. But to summarize it, we concluded that we need to adopt rules very promptly, and that and to assure that we need to have rules, of course, that we're satisfied with, but that are satisfied enough with, but that are also approved by the law department and will be satisfactory to the FOP. My understanding is that whole process is underway, both with the law department and through you with the FOP. So hopefully, with some optimism that that's all going to happen as we would want it to. Otherwise, more discussion again about the review activity, the topics for review, and the need for people who have point on the various topics to begin the conversations, particularly with their liaisons in the police department. Just so the board knows, I'm lead on use of force, as you may recall, and I have a meeting that if he's feeling well enough, Mr. Peoples will join me, and Captain Miller may also, as I understand it, tomorrow morning with Captain Wren on use of force to begin the process of getting the information we need from the department on that topic. Any other member, of course, would be welcome to join. We'll be at the desk at 9, to be led upstairs. So that's underway. But I hope the other task or teams will get going too.
A couple of questions, Mr. Gippen. The first one is, as far as our rules, is there any that you would recommend to our board?
Yes, sir.
That we should take a look at to present?
Yes, sir. And I think this was a consensus of governance, but we didn't really vote on it. If you may remember, we adopted the rules we adopted, I want to say July 12th. There was ongoing communication with Brian Angeloni in the law department and exchanges of drafts. He had proposed a draft that, for the most part, it was identical. There were not a lot of changes, but he, no surprise, recommended changes that would have taken the other positions on scope of authority, primarily related subpoenas, and then also on approval of procedures by counsel. There were just a few changes, but he presented a draft to us that took those positions as a matter of policy. And we did not adopt those, as you may recall. We went with our earlier draft. My recommendation would be that we adopt the version of the rules that Mr. Angeloni had proposed to us just prior to the July 12th meeting, because otherwise they were essentially identical in form. A lot of the things that were just errors, I think, drafting errors in the original April version that we were given were all corrected. I mean, so it was, call it a clean draft. So I think that Mr. Angeloni's July 12th version, I personally think would be the right version to adopt. Presumably it's still okay with the law department. We need to talk with FOP, but I would certainly hope it would be okay with them too. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Gippen on that recommendation or comments?
I think it's kind of hard to ask questions when we don't have those rules in front of us.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we went around and around with that so much, I don't know which ones we're talking about now.
Well, you may not have seen that draft because we didn't bring it to the board. It was just between governance, basically, and Mr. Angeloni. I have a copy of it. I mean, that Mr. Costa found the other evening and circulated, and we could recirculate that tonight if that's helpful.
Did you want to say something, Mr. Costa?
I'm circulating a copy of that to everybody right now.
Right.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Costa.
But it's a good draft, and it takes the other policy positions, but we understand that's where we need to go for now.
My next question, Mr. Gippen, is could you read out the different topics and who's assigned to those?
Yes.
Do you happen to have that? Just so people know if they are assigned to something, they know
Well,
it's
I don't have a list of which board members are working on which
Okay.
projects. I mean, I have some recollection of it, but I hope we've discussed it enough that hopefully everybody has.
Could you read the topics?
Yeah.
Yeah, we might need to just.
I'll read the topics, and I do know I've got the department liaisons. And some notes. On use of force, that one's in governance. I'm lead on it. Mr. Costa had indicated interest, and now Mr. Peoples has interest as well. And our contact is Captain Wren. The FOP, that is to say what recommendations we're going to make for amendments to the FOP agreement. That was to be, Mr. Chair, I have you as the lead on that.
Okay.
With the primary, the primary connection would probably be, is his rank captain? I don't know, Brian Williams? Right, or is he, I guess he's in the law department. Chief, we did this before now Chief Harding became interim chief. My recollection, and this is just recollection, is that he may have wanted to still be the lead on that.
I believe so.
And you'll have an opportunity to talk.
I'll meet with him on Friday to talk.
I don't have any other name.
Tyler.
I still have him as the name. Data is still a little unclear to me who has lead with it. I know we've had several people, Ms. Reed, Ms. Castle, you in particular have had interest in that topic. And the liaison is to be Captain Dave Laughlin. The next topic was the complaint. We've been calling it the complaint procedure, but I think it's probably more broadly understood as the complaint and use of force and use of deadly force procedure for processing them. Ms. Reed, I have you as the lead on that, tentatively. I have brackets. And Captain Wren is the liaison on that one too. What was that? The complaint, call it the complaint process, how it's, but add to that use of force, use of deadly force. And just how does it all flow in terms of the paper, the decision-making, and so on. The last topic is culture, what we called culture. Mr. Costa, I had you as lead on that, and Captain Miller was and still is the liaison, as I understand it.
So when we say data, is there specific data that we're looking for and wanting?
Well, no, I think what we're looking at is what questions. Think of it as what data does the department now acquire? What does the department do with the data internally? And then what does it do with the data externally? How is it, published would be one thing, but that's not the only thing. So it's understanding what they do with data broadly. What do they get? What do they do with it internally and externally? And then possibly making recommendations concerning all that.
Okay. I don't mind steering that with some help.
I'm gonna write your name down.
Thanks.
I have a question, Mr. Giffen.
Yes, ma'am.
So with culture, that's a broad topic, very broad. So what are your bullet points under culture that you're looking at? Are you looking at police culture in general?
We had talked about it, I think. My understanding of what the topic, and Mr. Costa might be able to speak to it better because he was really the one who had been talking about it more, but my understanding is that it's underlying culture in the sense of what's the philosophy of the department formally, but how do things really work internally? But with particularly looking to how that translates to training, recruiting, retention, all those sort of internal activities of the department, and how does culture inform them?
The systemic issues within the department.
You could think of it that way.
Yeah, okay. Hi, Brandon.
Is that close enough? Or?
I wouldn't necessarily frame systemic issues, but more so just going to the underlying, I guess, philosophy, mood, tone, historic, internal perceptions, and the overall, I guess, arching I don't want to say culture, but the traditions kind of that make the broader tone of operations for the police department.
Okay. Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. Well, let me just give a quick example. So when way back when I used to work there, and there was contract negotiations going on between the FOP and the police administration, and if they were at a stalemate, if you will, and then the police, part of their culture was to do what was called a blue flu. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
Okay. What they would do, if they were at a stalemate, and the way that the police officers in general would try to force administration to give them what they want, or at least lean more towards in their direction, they would threaten a blue flu, meaning on a certain day or days, they would all call off sick. The entire department would call off sick. So some would, most would, some wouldn't. And then the ones who wouldn't call off sick, you know, they got ostracized and harassed by the ones who did, because they felt like they weren't being cohesive. You know, I'm sure you've seen, you know, or heard about, you know, the Band of Brothers or the Band of Blues and whatever. Everybody's supposed to stick together no matter what. So, so when you talk about, so that was part of the culture at that time. It's part of the culture that, you know, all for one, one for all, and they'd all call off sick, and then the city of Akron would be, something happened, it'd be in chaos. And that's how they would force the department to give them what they wanted. So, but that was part of the culture. So when you look at the culture, there's a lot of different realms within that culture, I guess, to be examined, and that would need to be examined, that would affect how they protect the city and how they interact with, you know, the citizens of the city. So I just wanted to bring that out in case, you know, you're kind of young, so you probably had never heard of that before, but they used to do stuff like that. So that would be something that, you know, if that type of mindset still exists, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so I'm certainly looking forward to discussing with Captain Miller and with getting a better understanding. I think what I keep on bringing myself back to when we discuss our annual report is I think the true purpose is really for us to share out with the community what we've learned and experienced over the last year. So as I've been approaching this topic, I've been thinking of it not only necessarily from an internal standpoint, but what are the observations that we've made based upon some of our external interactions with citizens. What are comments and insights that we've received from some of the law enforcement officers that we work with that are and have met with at some of the lower level. How does the customs and I guess the social fabric of the institution of the APD, what in particular about that stands out, and what have we learned over the past year? Okay. So if you'd like to help.
I really would,
Please,
because
please do.
when I taught at Akron University, I taught diversity and, you know, racism, discrimination, diversity, all that kind of stuff. And all that kind of stuff kind of feeds into a system like that. So, yeah, I would definitely like to help with something like that.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Ms. Anaskevich?
I think my only recommendation is that our next governance meeting, we may consider setting a like tentative dates for when we'd like to have kind of drafts ready, or just touch points to keep us on track.
Good idea.
And also, would training come under that also?
Yes, training does.
Would come under
Explicitly.
culture, or is it by itself?
Culture. No, under culture.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Because we thought about having training as a separate topic.
Right.
And we decided 6 was too many. We couldn't handle it. So training then became kind of I don't know if it's the most important, but definitely very important part of the culture topic.
Right. I agree. Always need training.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Captain Miller, I know that you all do a dashboard, and so I'll kind of talk to you about that because it has a lot of data on it. And so, and then, yeah, so, okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, any other questions for Mr. Gippen or anybody from governance? Okay, we're gonna move on to Ms. Richards and our HR subcommittee.
I guess I'm not sure where we stand with the nomination for Mr. Fennell, so I thought we should probably have a conversation about that. I don't know if that's for executive session or for here.
I'm okay to move in an executive session.
Thank you. And then Ms. Reed has a proposal/request.
This is an email that I just sent out in reference to recognition of our officers who are actually doing well and serving our community. A lot of times when there has been spaces that officers have been recognized here on our board, It's usually just been through giving a verbal shout out. And I wanted to see if we could do something to, to make it more official and tangible, where we can give them an actual certificate on behalf of our board. And I just want to kind of briefly, and I'll talk more about this once we decide to move forward. I had a personal incident. My husband could have ended up in jail because of a person who falsified a really, really, really small thing. They basically blocked our car in when we were leaving a concert. An employee purposely blocked our car in and then proceeded to call the police because we asked him to move a car. And that could have went a very, very different way had it not been for the right officer showing up to the scene. My husband is a 6'2" African-American male. He wouldn't kill a fly, but he loves wearing hoodies and knitted hats, and he fits the profile of people who oftentimes don't have good interactions with police. And because of the person who showed up that day, and I'd like to suggest that perhaps the culture of our police department has more than just this particular officer like that, but Alan Jones showed up, and he immediately recognized what was going on and made that night end amicably. And so I want to honor him officially, but I can't do that without you guys' approval. And moving forward, and even retrospectively, we can, the officers who are making a positive impact. I don't want to just sit on a board and bring to the attention the public of the public's negative interactions. I think we need to be very intentional to discuss and recognize positive interactions. I did go on to post my experience, which was horrifying. It's this sense of justice that you just don't feel you get. And I could only imagine how citizens feel when you've been wronged and you feel like you just haven't gotten justice and that this person's gonna get away with this. And so anyways, I wanted to make sure that we are able to recognize the people who are doing good in our community. And when I posted what happened on my social media page, I got personal text, and I saw some people in person at my church who absolutely began to say he's a wonderful officer, and he always has been, and he's done a great job serving our community. And sometimes we don't hear that. We just hear the negative officers or negative things about officers in our community. And so I just want to personally, moving forward, if you guys are okay, I sent a mock draft of a certificate. I can get it framed and put it in some glass. And officially, hopefully we can get him here and I can recognize him. And I'd like to start doing that more regularly, if that's okay with you guys.
Ms. Reed, first of all, I don't think that's something that yes. Yeah, I don't think you need our approval to do that. I think on our webpage, we say, yes, you can file a complaint, but you can also compliment a cop. And so I think that's what we're here to do, is to model civility and to show a balance. I just signed his certificate today, and we plan on signing plenty more certificates because, to your point, there's a lot of good work that is being done, and we definitely need to highlight that as much as we possibly can. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for raising this. And if I may mention that the mayor has been very intentional in taking moments to bring resolutions that recognize the work of officers to the city council. So it may be, depending on your will as a board, that we would combine with the mayor and the board to bring those resolutions to the city council. And that's something I think that the mayor would welcome doing at your request. And I would be happy to do that if you would like.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Mr. Chair, did you sign it online? How did you sign it?
No. We signed it a part of our review committee meeting.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, I didn't see it.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again, Ms. Reed.
yeah.
Mr. Costa, do you have anything else, HR? Mr. Costa, Finance?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update. So Last week, we had a lengthy discussion about the status of our contract with the Center for Marketing Research that's going to help to undertake our community surveys. That contract has been redlined by the law department, and earlier today, I sent it back to the center for their review of the proposed revisions and for potential feedback. So hoping to have that executed here a lot sooner than later. And just wanted to provide a quick report out with that.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. You want to do community? You want to wait? All right. At this time, I'd like to adjourn our board into executive session in order to talk about some personnel matters with the Office of the Independent Police Auditor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Anaskevich,
Yes.
Gippin,
Yes.
Castle,
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Boyd, yes.
And
Mason.
Mr. Chairman, just so we're clear, it is possible we will come back.
We will, yep, we will come back.
So people know.
Absolutely. We will be coming back. Thank you. We'll adjourn into executive session. On here.
What did he do? I mean, what?
'23.
It was 23.
I think he's gonna come.
turn that on?
Aye.
All righty. So, Ms. Richards?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we reimburse Mr. Fields according to the terms of his contracts, and that would be an additional amount of $22,998 to satisfy what we owe him.
Second.
All right. Gippon?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Castle?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
Boyd, yes.
Secondly, I'd like to make a motion that we offer Mr. Fennell a chance to come to our community for a 2-day period to be introduced to various citizens, groups, and individuals, and a public forum, and that we reimburse him for any traveling expenses that he may incur.
Second.
Gippon?
Yes.
Castle?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
Boyd, yes. All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
Move we adjourn?
Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Have a good evening, everyone.